Hello. Hello. Okay, guys, we are live. So let's begin. So, hey everyone, I'm Harshal Jain, your mentor at Geeks for Geeks. And guys, in this video, we are going to start with a roadmap to Python. We are going to master Python, the basics of Python actually, in this one single video. Okay, so this would be a complete video where we are going to cover almost everything, every syntax based thing which you need to know in Python. And apart from that, we are going to discuss some other things also, like extra things where Python can be used, some basic project, and so on. Okay, so this is a simple checkbox list which I have created for you all so that you can keep track. Okay, so we are going to cover these much things today. Okay, so we're going to start with introduction. And introduction, we're going to talk about what is Python, why Python is beginner friendly, why should you learn Python, and then we're going to talk about applications of Python in web development, app development, and so on, right? And then we are going to talk about Python's installation, how we are going to install it in our computer. Then we're going to use an IDE which is VS Code. You can use other IDEs also, that is PyCharm and so on. And then after that, we're going to start running our Python program using a simple hello world program. We're going to start with that. Then this would be a basic setup. Setup is complete, right? Now, guys, we're going to start with basics of Python, where we are going to talk about what? We are going to talk about basic syntax and structure of Python programs. And we're going to talk about data types like integer, float, string, etc. Then we are going to talk about variables. How do we actually declare variables? What are variables in Python? Then operators, arithmetic operators, comparison operators, logical operators, right? Then we are going to talk about how to take input and how to give output in Python. Then, guys, we're going to talk about control flow. In control flow, overall, in all the languages which you see, like C++, C, Java, and so on, control flow contains what? Control flow contains if-else statements, loops, and loop control like break, continue, and so on. Okay, so control flow contains this much, right? Then, guys, we're going to talk about data structures. What type of data structure do we have extra in Python? Like some basic data structures are like arrays and so on, which you learn in C, C++. But in Pythons, we have lists, tuples, direct dictionaries, sets, etc. Okay, so we are going to talk about these. Then, guys, we're going to talk about functions, where will know how to create functions in Python, how to give parameters, what are predefined functions, that is built-in functions which we have in Python. And then, guys, we're going to talk about file handling operations. So in file handling operations, we're going to talk about how we can manipulate files, basic operations, create, read, update, delete a file operations. Okay, then, guys, we're going to talk about error and exception handling, that is try, except blocks. That means it would help us to just minimize the errors, okay, so that our program keeps on running. Okay, right? Then, guys, we're going to talk about basics of OOPS in Python, that is object oriented programming concepts, classes, objects, and attributes and methods, and inheritance and polymorphism in Python. Then, guys, we will talk about some important Python libraries which you are going to learn in future, some basics about them. That is the math library. Then we have random. Then we have date, time, and so on, which we generally use a lot. Okay, apart from that, we have NumPy, Pandas, Scikit-learn, and so on, which are totally different concepts which need a longer session. Okay, but yeah, we will discuss some basic libraries which you would generally use. Okay, then I'm going to introduce you to basic libraries like Python, Pandas, and Matplotlib, some basic introduction. Okay, not complete because you need to learn it completely, and in one session those libraries won't be able to be done. Okay, then, guys, we're going to talk about some basic beginner friendly projects which you can make on your own in Python to actually help you get this syntax very easily. Okay, then after that, at the end of this session, we are going to discuss some questions and answers which you are going to ask in the live chat. Okay, so I'll keep an eye on the live chat throughout the session also I'm going to answer your queries, but at the end we are going to take questions, so you can just pass on your questions in the live chat, or also you can comment below after we end this video, so that later on I can just reply to your comments. Okay, so let's begin. So we have some live chat comments here. So hi Sai Kiran, hello Trent Pro, please share notes after Arun. Okay, I think generally I usually code. So what I would do is I would share the GitHub repository. Okay, so that you can directly check out the source code. Okay, so that would be better. Else you can take screenshots of this part. Okay, so that you can have a checklist. Okay, apart from that, we don't have anything else to share in this specific session because everything is basic and available everywhere. But yeah, I'll share the source code which I'm going to write today. Okay, so hi Aptino, hi Khushi Gupta, good afternoon. Okay, so let's continue. So guys, first of all, now I want to know in the live chat how many of you are actually aware of Python. Where do we actually use Python? Like I think some of you might have used Python in your colleges, or you might have also used it in some cooperative programming competitions, or you might have used it in machine learning, or you might have used it in web development. So you can just mention in the live chat where have you actually used Python. Okay. Hello, Think Creation. I'm giving you all guys some shout out also, right? All right. So yeah, personally, if I talk about my experience with Python, when I used Python first was actually this was the first language which I actually learned. Okay, I was always the guy who struggled with programming languages. If we talk about C, C++, I tried to learn that first, but I thought that the syntax was out of my way because in schools also these languages C, C++, Java are taught, but I kind of found them very difficult to understand. So then I explored Python. So with Python, what actually happened was it was too beginner friendly. Okay, so if I just search about hello world programming Python, okay, so hello world in Python, I'll just show you. Okay, so we can just go to the official website of Python, or you can check out other websites also. Yeah, we have it in GFG also. So you can see that if you want to print hello world, okay, so you can see that print inside that hello world. So you can see that the syntax is so easy. Okay, in C++ we have something like C out hello world, and in C language we have printf, something like that. Okay, so but in Python you can see it's pretty understandable, pretty readable if you are just a kid. Okay, that means, or maybe some sense. Okay, so if you are just a kid, you can easily understand this. Okay, what we are trying to do is we are trying to print something. What we are printing hello world. Pretty easy, right? That's what the Python syntax makes it stand out. Okay, it's doing nothing new, but the syntax is so easy, like everyone can understand it too easily. Okay, even if you are not becoming a very good programmer, if you know Python, then you can just like if you have good brains and if you know Python, then you can do a lot of stuff here. Okay, so Python is too great if you are just a beginner, then it's also great if you are going for advanced level like machine learning and so on. Then also this is used a lot in the industry, right? So that's why Python is a very good language. And if we compare it with C++, it's quite a little bit slower than C++ or Java, but almost does the job for you. Okay, so if someone asks which one is the fastest, so Python is not the fastest language, but it's the easiest. Okay, it's the easiest language. So if you struggle with programming, I would suggest you can go with Python, so that you can grasp all the concepts I mentioned here, like file handling, functions, control flow, and so on. And later on, you can just learn all these concepts in some other language if required. Okay, but if you talk about industrial usage of Python, so yes, companies like Google actually hire people who know Python, who have done DSA in Python. So don't be confused like, okay, DSA in C++ is important, DSA in Python is not important. No, I have people in my contacts who are getting selected by just knowing Python and doing DSA in Python. Okay, so yeah, it's not a problem if you are learning Python and going on with Python for other things like DSA or machine learning and so on. It's totally great, right? So it's up to you. Now guys, we're gonna continue. Vallabhaneni. I am completely new to Python, but I have experience in C hash and Java. If you are having I don't know much about C hash, but I know about Java. So if you are having experience in Java, then all the concepts like if-else statements, loops, concepts like these are actually used in Python also. The syntax is different, the way we write the code is different, but all the concepts are same. So you won't be finding it very difficult to actually learn Python, because if you know any other language, then it's also easy. If you don't know any language, then this must be the starting point. Like if you find difficult programming languages difficult, so Python would be the easiest option for you and the best option as a beginner at least. Okay, sir, I want to use it in data analytics. Yes, okay. I haven't personally used it in data analytics. I've used it in generally in web development because I'm a web developer. And apart from that, I have used it in like I have used libraries of Python, different libraries which we get Python, pandas, matplotlib, and so on, but not specifically in data analytics, which they have. Okay. But yeah, you can definitely use it in data analytics, machine learning, web development, and so on. All right, so we're going to discuss that. We're going to start the discussion with introduction to Python. Okay, so I hope you're getting a basic idea what's exactly Python. Now I'm going to give you a very good definition of Python. Okay, so now guys, we're gonna talk about what is Python. So the first question which we are covering is what is Python, right? So Python is a high level interpreted programming language. Why do we call it high level? Because it's not directly close to CPU. The Python code is first converted into some other machine level code, then it's sent to the CPU. Okay, that's why we call it high level. And what is a low level language? It's like very close to CPU. That means the fastest language would be a low level language, and a slower language would be a high level language. So that's why Python is a little bit slower language as compared to C++, right? So it's known for its simplicity and readability. Okay, it's not known for its fast execution. It's known for its simplicity. Like I told you here, print hello world. It's too simple now. It's too easy to just read this. Okay, we are trying to print something. Hello world. That's it. Anyone can understand this. Okay, that's why it's known for its simplicity and readability, right? So yeah, it was actually created by Guido van Rossum. Okay, if I'm pronouncing it right, Guido van Rossum in 1991. So if you can just search about it, Guido van Rossum. So this guy actually created Python, and it was created in 1991. Not a very old language, not a very new language. Okay, so yeah, you can just read more about him, more of his contributions definitely. And now let's continue. Okay, now let's continue. So now guys, I talked about Python. Now we are going to just talk about key features of Python. So the key features of Python were easy to learn and use, open source, community driven, okay, and portable and platform independent. So right now you might be wondering, okay, Python, I know Python, but are there any updates? Okay, so all the updates are actually available in Python official website. So you can just search about Python install. You can just write this and you can get the Python official website. Okay, so right now we are currently running Python 3. Okay, you can just check out different ones. You can just go to all releases, and here you can see different releases are available. Okay, so the latest one which we are having right now is this Python 13.3.13.1, right? This is the latest one. Okay, now why was Python beginner friendly? Because the goal was to actually create a language which is not focusing on the difficulty. Okay, it's focusing on building new stuff. Okay, like we can do a lot of things using Python because it's easy. Like anyone who wants to contribute to programming community can actually learn Python and then contribute. Like we have contribution of machine learning and so on, because Python was too easy, right? So easily a lot of people actually learned it, and then they were able to build libraries and packages very easily for Python. Okay, now I'm going to talk about applications of Python. So applications of Python are basically you can use it for web development. Okay, so in web development we have Flask and Django. Please search about it. Then we have data science and machine learning field where Python is vastly used. You have libraries like Pandas, NumPy, and TensorFlow by Google, right? So yeah, basically TensorFlow, you can just search about TensorFlow. Okay, so this is actually built by Google, and it's basically open source, so actually you can learn it. and you can read more about it. So if you want to make something in machine learning, this is a very powerful library which we have. Okay, and a lot of people actually contribute to it, make it better again and again. This is open source and free. Okay, so yeah, I have actually used this one, so that's why I'm telling you again. Okay, then apart from this, if you want to learn web development, so you can learn about Django. Okay, what is Django? Django is a framework based on Python. Okay, so whatever code you write in Python, like if else statements, for loop, and so on, the syntax, exactly same syntax is used in Django. Okay, that's why it's a framework of Python. Okay, so this is basically something which you're going to use in backend development. Okay, so if you are a MERN stack developer, if you are a full stack developer, you might know about a language which is Node.js, right? Node.js is used in the backend. Similarly, PHP is used in the backend. Similarly, you can use Django or Flask in the backend. Okay, so it's very powerful and very useful tool which we get in Python. So if you know Python, you can do lots of stuff, right? And also in plain programming also you can go for competitive programming, you can learn DSA in Python, then you can do game development in Python, then you can develop desktop applications, you can do networking stuff, cyber security, etc. in Python. Okay, so a lot of things can actually be done in Python. Okay, so let me just write the applications of Python here, right? So yeah, these are all the applications of Python. If you want to read, you can actually read them. Okay, so now this was just a basic introduction of Python. Now guys, we're going to start with installation of Python. Okay, let's begin. So first of all, with the installation of Python, we need to go to Python official website. You can just go to just simply type Python installation, then download Python, and this would be the official website. Similarly, guys, you need to search for VS Code. Okay, so this would be the ID where we are going to write Python code, and this would be the brain. Okay, so whatever code you write in VS Code would be sent to Python. Okay, like that. Okay, so yeah, here we are going to just download this one. So it's going to be downloaded, right? You can see it's downloaded. Now guys, you can just open the setup, and I'll just uninstall the existing one first. Okay, so that we can reinstall it. Just wait. And similarly guys, I have this VS Code website, so I'll just go here. Okay, I think it's uninstalled. Let's go here and let's open the setup, right? So you can see that the setup of Python would be something like this, right? So here you can see install Python 13.31. Just before moving forward, check the python.exe to dot path. Okay, so what it basically would do is it would simply add the Python to your path so that VS Code can easily find Python. Okay, if it's installed. Okay, that's why we are adding it to path. Okay, now we need to just simply click on install now, and then it would be installed. Pretty easy. Okay, that's what the installation part is about. Okay, and now here you need to just download VS Code for Windows or any operating system you have. Okay, so you can just search more about it. You can just search for proper installation videos on YouTube. All of them are available if you're finding my way as difficult or outdated and so on. Okay, so if in future it might be outdated, so you can just search on YouTube how to install Python. Okay, there are separate ways for separate operating systems. Okay, so guys, you can see that VS Code is basically downloading, but it's actually taking too much time. My favorite VS Code. Mine too. I actually used it for a lot of things. I think my network is actually going too slow. Anyways, VS Code. It's taking time definitely. Let's wait. Okay, let's close it. Okay, let's close it. Python is installed. Okay. Now for the VS Code, what you need to do is, guys, just a minute. All right, guys. So now let's continue. I think VS Code is taking time to install, so you can just install it on your own. Maybe right now I had some network issues, but anyways, you can just download its setup. And once you download the setup, you just need to click next, next, next. Just check all the check boxes, and then VS Code would be installed properly. Okay. So now I'm assuming VS Code is installed and Python is installed. Okay. So I already have VS Code installed, so kind of saves time. Okay, so now let's go to a directory, any directory we are going to create. Okay, so I'll just create a folder here named as Python codes. Okay, and I'm just gonna create, suppose, this empty folder. Okay, and I'll just open this with VS Code. So, okay, so if you install VS Code properly, you would have something like this. Okay, it would be something like this. Perfect, right? So you can see that till now everything is done here. So guys, I'm waiting in the live chat. If any one of you is having problem in the installation, please mention in the live chat. I'll wait for a minute, then we'll start continuing with the code writing part. Okay, we are going to start with hello world program first. All right, what is the work of VS Code, sir? VS Code is an IDE, and basically whatever code you write here, okay, is sent to the respective language. You can write the code for HTML, CSS, JavaScript. You can write the code for C, C++. You can write the code for Python. You can write the code for Java, and so on. Okay, so it's just a software which organizes your code. Okay, so it gives you this structure where you can create files. And suppose I'm going to create a file. Okay, so let's say we are going to create a Python file. Okay, so Python files always have the extension .py, right? .py is for Python files. So if you talk about C, C++ files or any other type of files, so the extension for those would be .cpp. Okay, and .c, .cpp, and then for Java we have Java. Then for HTML we have .html. For CSS we have .css, and so on. So different file extensions, right? So now we are learning Python, so we're going to write Python extension. So we are going to just write hello dot py. Py stands for Python file. Okay, so this simply indicates, okay, this is a Python file, Python program. That's it. Okay, so now you might see something like this. Okay, now here, guys, what you need to do is you need to write your first program. Okay, you need to write your first program. Okay, I think we can continue, right? So we're going to write our first program. So let's start with the very basic syntax. Why Python is known as beginner friendly? Because of its basic syntax. Suppose I am a beginner and I just want to print my name. Okay, so I can just say print, print, right? And here inside the inverted, double inverted commas, okay, I'm just gonna say that hello world. Okay, hello world, like this. Pretty easy, right? Now guys, you can just run the code. Okay, so if you don't see this option, what you can do is you can just go to extensions, and here you can just search for code runner. Just install this one. This actually helps you to run your code which is written here in the terminal. Okay, it would just directly run the code in terminal. Okay, so you can just simply click on this, you can just run your code, and you can see that hello world has been printed here. Okay, hello world has been printed here. So you can see nothing else is required. It's a pretty easy syntax. Suppose instead of this I want to print my name, so I can just write my name, Harshal Jain. Okay, yes. Suppose if I write this, Control S for saving, and then you can see that I got my name here. Okay, pretty easy. This is what Python is. It makes everything easy. Okay, so if you had a C++ program, then you would have to write int main and then cout, then inside that Harshal Jain, a very 5 to 10 lines of code, right? So it's pretty annoying. I have to learn so much for that. But if you talk about Python, it's so easy, right? So if I want you to relate with me, I'll just do one thing. Okay, I'll just do one thing. I'll show you a sample C++ program. Okay, so C++ hello world code. Okay, if I just search for this, and here you can see that this is how you actually print hello world in C++. Okay, so you can see it's a very big program. Okay, you have to learn so much. You have to keep in mind all the brackets, commas, colon, semicolon, and so on. So it's pretty much a very long code, C++. And if I talk about Python, Python is just one line. It just did this in one line, right? In just one line you got your output. That's why Python is so easy, although this code is faster. Okay, this code is faster, but still, if I was a beginner, I would find this very easy. Okay, and my job is done, right? My job is done, right? So that's the benefit of Python. Okay, so now I hope you are able to relate. Okay, this is the C++ code, this is how C++ code looks, and this is the Python code. In Python we just need to write one line, and this much code is obviously faster, but this is easier. Okay, easier for us, easier for any person who is trying to learn programming, right? Right, let's continue now. Ru said print heart. Okay, thank you. Let's print the heart. Okay, and I think I haven't tried printing emojis. Let's try to print this. um let's try to just search for heart emoji. Okay, and I'll just copy this one and let's paste it here. Okay, and let's print it. Okay, yeah, it just printed the heart. Okay, it's great, 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 right? So please tell whiteboard software tools like पेन इरेजर एक्सेट्रा डिस्प्ले होने से कॉलराइट आता है क्या? कुछ जगह लिखा शो नहीं कर सकते. I actually use Excalidraw. Okay, so excalidraw.com is free, or what else you can use is Microsoft Whiteboard, which you get inbuilt in your Windows operating system. Okay, and if you are an Apple user, so I think I forgot the name. Okay, for Apple users, a free tool which they give inbuilt is Freeform. Okay, Freeform for Apple devices. Okay, so these are some software which you can use. But all industry run on C++ and C hash. Okay, so this is a misconception. People think industry runs on C++ or C hash, because myself, if I talk about I'm not on Google obviously, but yeah, I have a big brother. Okay, uncle's son. Okay, we can call that. So that guy actually learned Python. Okay, just Python. Never learned C. He never learned C++ or anything. Okay, I'm not saying that C++ people are not worthy. Okay, that's totally great. Okay, I myself use C++ a lot. But if I talk about if you just know Python, okay, if you just know Python, but if you are master in it, if you are doing DSA in Python, if you have a good rank in lead code, okay, lead code, then company doesn't care have you learned BS in C++ or Python or Java, etc. They think, okay, this guy knows DSA, we can take him. Okay, now if you go inside the company, then they would decide, please, Harshal, you must learn C++ for building this software. Okay, so company would decide either you need C++ or you need Python and so on. If you are talking about machine learning industry specifically, C++ is not used, Python is used properly. Okay, although some things from C++ are also used, but a huge base is actually used in Python. Okay, so if you talk about industries like machine learning and data science, Python is widely used. But if you are talking about building softwares, uh, Java and C++ are definitely used. And in gamings, we have C hash and so on. Okay, so it depends on the use case. But right now I'm saying you are jobless. Okay, you are jobless and you want to start with something, so you can definitely start with Python. Okay, that's it, right? Okay, can you help us by making full course of Python? Definitely, if you mention it in the comment after we end this video, so it would go to the GFG team, Geeks for Geeks team. So they would actually allow me to make a full course out of Python, right? So now guys, enough of talking. Let's continue now. So now you know that this is pretty easy. You just need to print something and it would print very easily, right? So this is the Python basic program to print something, to print heart, to print hello world, and so on. Okay, Now we are going to say one more thing. One more thing here is Python. If I talk about Python, if I just give some space, for example, if I give space here, let's give a space and let's run this. Okay, so you can see it's easy. Okay, if I give one more space, some more spaces, you can see it's still running. Okay, so it just ignores the spaces. Okay, but obviously if I give a space here, then it would be an error because it won't be a print keyword. Okay, so this is a specific keyword which tells Python, hey, I want to print something. Okay, so this keyword must be complete, but after that you can have as many spaces you have. Okay, so this is something which you must keep on your mind. And then if I talk about case sensitivity, suppose this is small p print. Okay, so if I make it capital P, so you can see that this is actually treated differently. So Python is actually case sensitive. Okay, so only if you write small print, okay, then only it would treat as print keyword. If you write something like this, it won't be treated as print. Okay, that's what you want to keep in mind. Okay, if someone asks you this, is Python case sensitive or not? Yes, Python is case sensitive. Okay, now guys, what else can we do? Now guys, we're going to start with very basic things like variable declaration. Okay, so what is variable? What is variable? Suppose uh, this is my house where I am recording, right? So I have four members here. Okay, so this house is containing four people. This house is containing four people. That means this house acts as a variable and it's containing something, right? Similarly, if I just say that, suppose I'm saying that name. Okay, suppose someone asks for my name. So what I would say, my name is Harshal Jain, right? So name is a variable which contains value Harshal Jain. Pretty easy, right? Similarly, if I say age, okay, suppose someone asks my age, okay, suppose I would mention 25, okay. So you can see that this is what, this is a number, and this is what, this is a sentence, or we call it a string, okay. So this is a number, this is a string, so a variable can contain anything. So I'm gonna say one more thing, that is underscore married. Okay, so I'm gonna say false. Okay, I'm not married, I'm sorry. So I'm gonna say false, something like this. Okay, so you can see capital F, false. So if I say small f, actually my F keyword is not working properly in my keyboard. So you can see if I say small f, it does not take it like that. Okay, false is not defined. So you have to talk about, if you are talking about Boolean, okay, true or false. Okay, so you would say something like this. Okay, so my name is Harshajan, which is a string. Age is 25, which is an integer. Is married equals false, which is Boolean. Okay, so you can give true false values also. So if I give it true, it would be true, it would be containing true value. If I give it false, it would be containing false value, and so on. Okay, so again, this is a string, this is an integer, this is a Boolean, right? Name, age, and is married, these are variables which contain some value. That's how you define them. Suppose now I want to print the values. How can I do this? Suppose if I write print name, let's do it. Okay, so if I try to print this, you can see Harshal Jain. If I copy this and paste it here, if I want to print age, okay, so you can see it printed name and age. Okay, so if I want to print the value of is married, okay, if I want to print value of is married, so you would see that it's printing false. Okay, so you can see that I'm printing them again and again. Suppose what if I want to print them at one line, in one single line? Can I do this? Okay, so if I give a comma, and again if I give a comma, and if I save this and if I run this, so you can see, yeah, definitely we can print this. Okay, definitely we can print it like this. Okay, so this is a Python basic syntax which you must know about. Again, you can print multiple things in a single line. These are variables which are containing values like string, number, and Boolean, right? That's it. Now let's continue. Is advanced level mathematics necessary to make basic AI, which is making our application easy, etc.? Okay, so if you want to make applications like Jarvis from Iron Man, okay, people have watched Iron Man movie. So Jarvis was an AI assistant, just like nowadays we have Google Assistant or Chat GPT. Okay, so Jarvis is much more advanced type of assistant. Okay, so yeah, definitely you need to know a lot of mathematics for that. But yeah, you can start with basic mathematics, like you must be aware of probability. Okay, probability, and then some statistics. At least you need to know this much so that you can start with machine learning and AI. And also linear algebra is also important, and some calculus is also important. So these concepts are very important, but I would say not completely advanced level. The mathematics which you learn till class 12th is important. Okay, so at least you must know this mathematics properly to become a good machine learning developer. I myself I'm not that much good in mathematics, so I haven't explored the field that much. Okay, so I'm mostly doing web development stuff because it doesn't require that much mathematics, it just requires creativity, okay, and some basic sense, right? Okay, so now let's continue. Right, so these were what? These were variables. So let me just write here variables, variables, variables. Now you can see that I have passed the hashtag sign, and I have written variables. What is this? This is basically a comment. Okay, so now if I run my code, okay, if I run my code, you would see that again this part is ignored. Okay, this variables part is ignored. Why? Because this is a comment. This is for you, for reference. Okay, so whatever I am writing here, these are variables. I can write anything else. I love GFG. Array, hmm, I love GFG. Even if I write this part is totally ignored. The code would the code would run from here. Okay, if I mention it somewhere in between, then again it's still ignored. Okay, so if I run this, you can see it's still ignored. It's just printing this much. Okay, that's what I am trying to say. Okay, so this is a comment. This is for your reference. You can use it anywhere you like, just to keep reference of what code you are writing. Okay, so very useful thing which we have. Okay, so now guys, I'm just going to say let's name this as 1.py. Okay, and then I'm gonna say 2.py. Okay, and I'm gonna write another piece of code, right? So now guys, we're gonna talk about operators. Okay, we're gonna talk about operators. So suppose if I say um a equals 5, okay, and b equals 10. So I've defined two variables. First variable is having value 5, second variable is having value 10. Okay, suppose I want to perform addition operation. Okay, so I can do it like this: print a plus b, right? A plus b. So if I run this, can see that it's printing 15. Instead of this, or I can do one more thing. I can create another variable and I can store a plus b there. Okay, a plus b there. Actually, let's call it sum. Okay, sum, and I can print sum. This is also valid, and directly printing is also valid. Okay, so don't get confused. So if I run this, you can see I'm still getting 15. Okay, suppose if I write it like this: sum is if I write it like this, so you can see, yes, I got this, sum is 15. Okay, similarly, subtract equals a minus b. Okay, suppose if I subtract this, okay, actually difference, diff, okay, that would be better. Difference is difference. Okay, so if I run this, you can see difference is -5, right? So you can see, yeah, it's correct, -5. Similarly guys, you have multiply, so mul and a into b, like this you have to multiply. Okay, and I'm gonna write it like this: mul. Okay, and similarly division. Okay, so I'm gonna write like this: div, and a divided by b, copy and paste, division, division, right? So if I just run this, so you can see, yes, I am getting the exact results. Okay, so these are basic operators, and we call these operators this plus, minus, into, division. These four are basically arithmetic operators in Python, right? Arithmetic operators: plus, minus, into, division. And these are just variable names. Okay, these are just variable names, and a and b are also variables. Okay, are also variables, right? So now if I change the value to 15 and if I change the value to 1, we run again. So you can see that now the result is according to 15 and 1, right? So it's pretty easy to have variables and rest everything is same. We just change the variable values, everything is same. Okay, so that's why we have variables, so that we don't need to change again and again, again and again. We don't need to change anything here. We just change the values of our variables and then the operations happen. Okay, so these 4 plus minus into division, these are what? Arithmetic operators. Okay, these are what? Arithmetic operators. Let me just write here arithmetic operators. Okay, arithmetic operators. Perfect. Now let me just comment this much out. Okay, now guys, we're gonna talk about another type of operator, which is comparison. So comparison, comparison operators. Okay, so in comparison operators we have some symbols like equal to, not equal to. Suppose if I just say that here A is 15 and B is 1. Okay, so A is 15 and B is 1. So I'm just going to comment this out. To comment all of this directly, what I did was control and forward slash. I'll just copy this. Okay, and I'll come back here and let me just do something for you. So A and B is here, right? So if I want to check if A is equal to B, what I'm gonna do? So I'm just gonna say that print A equals B. Okay, so this would simply say, I'm sorry, this would simply check if A is equal to B, then it would return true, else it would return false. Okay, so now if I try to run this, so you can see it's returning false. Why? Because they are not same. If I make it 15 and if I run it again, so you can see that it returned true. Okay, so equal sign would simply return the values. Okay, if they are same, it would return true. If they are not same, then it would return false. Okay, then if I want to say return true if A is not equal to B, but if A is equal to B, this would return false. So for our case, this would return what? This would return false because A and B are same, and I want true if A and B are not same, right? So if A and B are not same, then it would return true. Okay, so let's check. So this must return what? This must return false. Okay, so if I run this, so you can see um yes, now you can see that it's returning false. Okay, it's returning false. So pretty easy. So if A and B are same, then it would return false. If A and B are not same, then it would return true. Okay, so if I make it 1, so it must return what? It must return true. Okay, because A and B are not same, so it's returning true. Okay, this is another type of comparison operator. Then we have one more thing, which is I'm gonna ask, is A greater than B? Okay, is A greater than B? Yes, A is greater than B, right? So if I just run this, would return true. If A is less than B, okay, is A less than B? So no, A is not less than B, so it would return false, right? So this is another type of operator, right? Now guys, we have one more thing, which is I'm gonna say, suppose this is 15, okay, this is 15. So is A greater than B? No. Is B greater than A? No. Is A greater than B? No. So in both cases, we're gonna get false, right? We're gonna get false, right? But if I say, is A, is B less than or equal to A? Okay, so you can see that if A is less than or equal to B, if A is less than or equal to B, so here you can see A is not less than B, but A is equal to B, right? So this would return true, right? This would return true, right? This would return true. Okay, so if I just run this, you can see I'm getting true because A is not less than B, but A is equal to B. So in both the cases, it would return true. Okay, similarly, I'm gonna say, is A greater than equal to B? So you can see A is not greater than B, but A is equal to B. So in that case also, it would return true. So you can see true. Okay, so these are the comparison operators which we have, and we use a lot of this in if else statements. Okay, so please keep these in mind. If else, the comparison operators, right? Comparison operators, pretty important. Okay, sir, इसमें declare नहीं होता क्या? No, we do not declare it because of the simplicity of Python, which provides automatically, it actually assumes, okay, so if you write a equals 15, it assumes that it's an integer. If you write a equals Harshal Jain, it assumes that it's a string, okay, like I've done here. If you write equals false, then it automatically assumes that this variable is a boolean, so we don't need to define anything here. Okay, so that's the benefit of Python, which we get a lot. Okay, right, so now let's continue. Guys, I need to share a feedback form, so you can just check out this feedback form in your description, in this video's description. You can just find this feedback form. So in this feedback form, you can just talk about how you like, okay, how was the session. Okay, so you can just write your name, email, and then you can just rate the session overall. If it's poor, if it's excellent, definitely you are free to give your ratings. All right, and then you can also do one thing: what did you like most about this session? So you can just add a few more things, right? You can just add a few more things. And then which topics would you like us to cover in future live sessions, right? Then you can just say what, like, do you like shorter sessions, or do you like longer sessions? So you can just mention, is this adequate or not? I want bigger session, or I want shorter session. And definitely, would you recommend this to your friends or others, so on. Okay, so you can just fill out this form to actually make us better. Okay, so we would take it definitely positively. Either you. Okay, so now we have one doubt here: how to make a plus b whole square in Python. Okay, right, so that's a very good question. So suppose I have a variable here. I'll just show you. Very good question. It actually comes in arithmetic operator. So you can see that we have arithmetic operator here, right? We had arithmetic operator here. Let me just comment this part out. And suppose I have 2 and 3 whole square. Okay, that means 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 whole square is 25, right? I want to print this. So how would I do this? I would simply say print. Okay, and actually, either you can do it that way, or you can just keep a variable here. So c equals a plus b. Okay, and I want to get whole square of it. So what I can do is I can just give it brackets. Okay, I can just give it brackets. And what else can we do is we can just write double star. Okay, double asterisk 2. Okay, so it would give power of 2. If I write it here as 3, it would give power of 3. If I write it as 4, power of 4. Okay, so just don't forget to mention brackets. Okay, like this. Okay, so yeah, you wanted to print a plus b whole square, so it would be like this. Okay, so let me just run this. So you can see it's printing 25. Okay, so 25, right? 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 whole square is 25, right? Exactly. Perfect. I hope your doubt is cleared. Okay, can we do the sessions like GFG DSA or GFG is currently doing for DSA? Definitely. I think that's a very good suggestion. And I would say after we end this video, please mention that in the comment section, so that GFG team sees those, checks those comments, and then we can just talk about that. Okay. So yes, guys, now one more thing which is very important is, if I declare A as 2 and if I declare B, actually if I declare A as 3, now what would be the value of A? So if I just print A, let's see, do we get an error or not? So you can see it's printing 3. Okay, so whatever value you define at last would be taken. Okay, it won't throw an error. Okay, so if you redefine it would just give it like this. Okay, so yeah, that's it. Now guys, let's continue. So we talked about some basic operators. Okay, arithmetic operators, and we talked about comparison operators, right? So this is it. Then we have logical operators also, that is and or not, which we are going to discuss later on. Okay, but yeah, we have third type of operator, which is logical. Okay, so logical and or not. Okay, so and or not are three logical operators which we use a lot, and we are going to use it in when we are going to learn the if else statements. Okay, in that case we are going to use them. Okay, so just keep them in mind. Okay, fine. So now guys, these were the operators generally you see. Now guys, we're going to talk about input and output. Okay, how do we actually take it? Okay, so I'll just say 3.py. Okay, and now we're gonna take input. Okay, suppose I want to take name as input, so I'll just suppose keep a variable as name 123 or whatever name you want to give. You can give any name to the variable. Okay, so name equals, and here I'm gonna give a keyword which is input keyword, which we have in Python. Okay, and what I would ask as a question, so I would simply say enter your name. Suppose I want to ask this as a question. Okay, right? And suppose I want to print this. So for giving output, I actually print things, right? So for output, we actually print this. Okay, so I'll just print my name. Okay, and I'll just write it like this, hello, and some space. Perfect. So I'm taking my name as an input and I'm printing this as an output. That's it. Okay, so I'll just do it here, which is this is known as input and this is known as output, right? Pretty easy. So this is how you take things as an input and this is how you give an output. So if I just save this and if I run this, you can see that if I run this, you can see that it's asking me name. Okay, so I'll just name myself as Harshal. So you can see hello Harshal, right? Pretty easy. Perfect. So this is it, guys. That's how you actually take inputs. Pretty easy. Suppose if I take two variables, okay, so if I take two variables, let me just comment this out. I'll just take two variables, okay. So I'll just say input, okay. So suppose if I keep them empty for now, b equals input, you can just keep it like this also, okay. And I'm gonna print a plus b, right? Let's do it. So if I run this again, so you can see it's gonna ask me for 3 and again I enter. If okay, I did one mistake. You don't pass this actually here. I have a habit of JavaScript, that's why I passed it accidentally. Okay, so let me just close it. Just press Ctrl C and close it. Okay, so if I just run again, now if I type 3 and 2, let's check. So you can see it's printing me 32. Yeah, so it's taking things as a string. So input always takes things as a string. So yeah, you have to make it an integer later on. Okay, so right. Okay, so now I am checking that okay, I entered 3 and I entered 2. It's giving me 32. Okay, it's giving me 32. But I don't want this. I want integer, right? I want integer plus integer. Okay, so how you can actually do that? So for doing that, I can just say that you took the value as an input. Okay, so you can just say that c equals, okay, integer a, okay, plus integer b, right? So it's gonna actually give me an integer. Let's check now. Okay, so if I run this 3 and 2, so now you can see that it's giving me 5. So you have to convert it into an integer. This is a very important thing which I told you as a beginner. Okay, so please keep this in mind. Similarly, you can just search on Google how to convert integer to string, how to convert this to that, and so on. Okay, so actually converted a, which was a string, to an integer, b, which was a string, to an integer, and we kept a sum, and c was by default an integer, okay, because the sum was an integer, right? So now, but how we can store inputs in text documents? Yes, we're going to talk about that in file management. Okay, so now guys, this is it. We talked about input and output. Pretty easy concept here, right? Now guys, we're going to talk about next thing, which is what? Which is conditional statements. Very important. Okay, very important. So I'm going to talk about conditional statements here. So 4.py. Okay, so I'm going to say that suppose a equals 10, right? A equals 10 and let's say b equals 20. Okay, right? So I'm going to say that suppose, or let's take better example. So I'll say that suppose your age is 17, okay, and suppose in India you are allowed to vote when you are 18 plus, okay, when you are 18 plus, right? So I'm gonna say that if I'm gonna write a program which checks are you eligible to vote or not. So I'm gonna say that age, if age is greater than or equal to, right, or equal to 18, right? I can say print you can vote, right? Else you cannot vote. Else you cannot vote. So you need to pass the colon sign, okay? And you can't vote, okay? So in this case, our age is 17. Can I vote? So it would check, is my age 18 or greater than 18? Then this would run, but my age is not greater than 18, not equal to 18, so this would be skipped. Then it would go here, it would check, yes, this would be the else case, so this would run. Okay, so if I just run this, okay, I actually need to run this. Okay, yeah, right. So you can't vote because my age is not 18. Okay, suppose I'll say one more thing. I'll say that if your age is greater than 100, okay, greater than 100, invalid age. Okay, if your age is greater than 18, okay, so you're just gonna say else if here. Okay, so this is one more thing which you need to know, else if actually. So I'm just gonna say that if my age is greater than 100, then invalid age. Okay, if my age is greater than equal to 18 but less than 100, then this case would run. If my age is less than 18, then this case would run, right? So let's check. So I'm gonna say that let's run this again. So you can't vote. Suppose if I give it 19, so can I vote? Yes, you can vote. If I give it 99, can I vote? Yes, I can vote. If I give it 100, can I vote? Yes, I can vote. If I give it 101, can I vote? Invalid. Invalid age, right? So this is how this if else statement actually run. Okay, now I can have one more thing. This is just a normal variable, but I can use two variables. Okay, so suppose I have a voting for only males. Okay, so I'll just say gender equals, suppose I'm gonna keep male. Okay, so here I can just say that I'm gonna use a logical operator. Okay, so I'm gonna say that if age is greater than 100 and gender gender is male, okay, and gender is male, equal double equal to male. Okay, so I'm saying that if gender was female then age was 100, so this wouldn't be the case, this would be the case. But if age is greater than 100 and also gender is male, then this would be the case. So this would only run when you are a male and your age is greater than 100, then only it would be an invalid. For females, if age is greater than 100 but gender wasn't male, okay, so this part would be skipped, automatically this would run. Okay, so let's check this. So right now you can see you are giving an invalid age, gender is male. Let's check if this runs or not. Let's check if this runs or not. So if I just save this and run this, you can see invalid age. Suppose if I make it female, if I make it female, then this would run or not. Let's check. So if I save this and run this, you can see you can vote. That means this case would run because your age is greater than 18. Okay, greater than 18. Your age is greater than 100, but your gender is not male. So this whole would become false. This whole became false. If this is false, this won't run. This would run, this would run. Okay, that's what is the case. Okay, similarly if I pass or, then what would happen? Either your age is 101 or your gender is male. In both cases you would be invalid. Okay, you would be invalid. Now let's check if this is running or not. So you can see invalid age. Why? Because either my age is 101, that means greater than 100, or my gender was male. If any one of these became true, then this whole would become true, right? Then it would print this, else it would do this. Okay, so now suppose if I give my age less than this, suppose if I give it 19, now I would check, is my age greater than 100? No, my age is not greater than 100. Is my age male? No, it's not male. Okay, is my gender male? No, it's not male. So both became false, so it would be totally false. Okay, if this is false, then this would run. Okay, so let's run this again. you can vote. Okay, so this is an overall overview of if else statements. You can just search more about it, you can learn more about it. These are actually known as conditional statements. Okay, so conditional statements, let me just write above here, conditional statements. That's it. Okay, now let's continue. Hi Danish. Now let's continue. We're going to talk about loops. Okay, now we are going to talk about loops. Okay, so I'll just write here again, loops, loops. So loops are what? Suppose I have 5 variables. Okay, suppose I want to print suppose I want to print one. Okay, suppose I want to print one 5 times. Suppose I want to print one 5 times. This is easy. Suppose I want to print one more time. Okay, suppose I want to I want to print one some 10 times, 20 times, 1000 times, 2000 times, and so on. So you can see that I have to write this again and again and again and again. So it would consume a lot of lines of code, right? It would consume a lot of lines of code. So for that, what we can do, instead of writing it again and again and again, I can actually run a loop which would run again and again and again until a breaking condition is achieved. Okay, so I'll just say that for, okay, I'll assume a variable. Okay, I'm gonna say that suppose I want to print that 1000 times. Okay, print hello 1000 times. Okay, or I want to print 100 times. Okay, and so on. So I'm gonna write my range. Okay, suppose I want to print it 5 times. Suppose I want to print one 5 times. Okay, so I'll just write range like this. Okay, this I variable would start and run till 5. Okay, I'll just print value of I, suppose. Okay, suppose it would print 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so I would just write I here. Okay, I would just write I here. So it would print I, then it would be incremented I plus 1, then it would be incremented I plus 2 until it becomes 5. So let me just run it, let me just show you. So you can see it printed 0 1 2 3 4. Okay, so I would start from 0. Okay, then I plus plus happened, I plus plus happened. Okay, so I is initially 0. It would check, is I less than 5? Yes, so it would print I. 0 is printed. Now I is incremented, I became 1. Is 1 less than 5? Yes, so it is printed. Similarly, 2 is printed, 3 is printed, 4 is printed. Now after this, I became 5. Is 5 less than 5? No, 5 is not less than 5. So it won't be printed. It would stop after 4. Okay, so n minus 1 would be the statement which would stop. Okay, which would stop things. Right? That's it, guys. That's it, guys. Now, guys, let's continue. Just a second. All right, so that's how actually a loop works. This is a for loop. Similarly, guys, suppose if I want to talk about while loop. Okay, suppose if I want to talk about while loop. Okay, so how would I do this? And obviously notice one thing, it's running 5 times. Okay, it's running 5 times, but from 0 to 4. Okay, that's what you must keep in your mind. Suppose instead of this I want to use any other type of loop. So other type of loop is basically while loop. So I'm just going to say that suppose I equals 0. Okay, I equals 0. Okay, while I less than 5. Okay, I less than 5 colon, and I print what? I print the value of I. So it would do the same thing, but it won't increment the value of I automatically. So for incrementing it automatically, I plus equals 1. Okay, so it would increment the value of I. Again it would run, again it would run till 0 to 4. Okay, because if I became 5 after this, so 5 not less than 5, so it won't run. Okay, so let's run this now. So if I run this, you can see 0 1 2 3 4. Okay, suppose if I give it equal to sign, so it would run for 5 also. So it would start from 0 1 2 3 4 5. That means 6 times. Okay, so it runs 6 times, it ran 6 times. After that, 5 plus 1 would become 6. 6 is not less than or equal to 5, so it won't run. Okay, so let me just run this. So you can see it ran for 5 also this time. Okay, so this is the thing, this is the loop. Okay, now there are more statements. Suppose I would say that let's talk this in while loop only. Okay, right. So I'm gonna say that suppose if range is 10, okay, and I wanna print hello. Okay, I want to print hello. Okay, suppose if I run this, so you can see it's printing hello 10 times. Okay, hello I, that would be better, right? So it's printing hello 10 times, 0 to 9, right? So now here if I say that if I equals 5, suppose I became 5, I equals 5, then what I want, then what I want, I want to print, I want to break the code. Okay, I want to break the loop. Okay, I want to break the loop. So it would simply check from 0 to 10. Okay, as soon as I reach 5, this would stop printing, it would break. Okay, so if I just say, so you can just check, it would start from 0 to 1 2 3 4. As soon as it reaches 5, the loop would break. Okay, suppose if I make it continue, let's check for continue. Okay, let's check for continue. So you can see that nothing happened for 5. You can see it printed 4, just after that it jumped to 6. Okay, so for 5 it didn't do anything. Okay, so now if I say pass, okay, if I say pass, what would happen? Let's run, and you can see nothing happens in 5. 5 is also included. Okay, so pass is just like don't do anything. Okay, don't do anything. Continue is like skip that thing. Break is like don't do anything after that. Okay, that means break. Okay, so break, continue, and pass. Okay, so break, continue. Okay, so yeah, these are the loops and these are break, continue, and pass things which I wanted to tell you. Right, so guys, I hope you understood this part which we covered. Now this was conditional statements. Now we are going to talk about the fifth thing. Okay, fifth thing, which is what, which is basically list. Okay, list. So list is pretty simple, so I'm gonna just continue this session really fast now. Okay, so 1 2 and 3. Okay, and then guys, we are gonna say that num, so this is what, this is what, this is a list of elements. Okay, list of elements. Suppose now I want to add one more element, so I'm just going to say that num dot append. Okay, num dot append, suppose I want to add 4. Okay, right, so now let me just print this. So I'll just print num. Okay, suppose now if I print num, let me just run this. So you can see that it printed 1 2 3 4. Okay, 1 2 3 4. Suppose I remove something, suppose if I remove 2. Okay, suppose if I remove 2, let's check. So you can see it printed 1 3 4. Perfect. Suppose if I add append 10, if I append 10, you can see it's like this. Suppose if I remove that number which doesn't exist, which is suppose 14. Okay, suppose 14 does not exist in my list. Okay, suppose if I try to remove 14, I'm sorry, remove 14. Okay, suppose if I try to remove 14, so you can see that 14 does not exist. 14 does not exist, so the element which is not in the list cannot be removed, obviously. Okay, so yeah, this is a simple operation, this is a simple list which I was talking about. Acha, one more thing, suppose you can just see that this is going to contain what, this is going to contain what, 1 2 3 4, right? So if I just save this and run this, would contain 1 2 3 4, right? Now suppose if I start printing from 1 2 3, let's check. If I write it like this, what you would get is 2 and 3. Okay, so it would go to the first index, this is the 0th index, first index, second index. So index things always start from 0, 0th index, first index, second index. You might know about arrays in C++ or JavaScript or any other language. Similar to that, we have list. Okay, so 0th index, first index, so we got to the first index. Okay, and stop before the third index. Okay, so 0th index, first index, second index, after that the third index was there, so we stopped before the third index, that means stop at the second index. So it printed 2 and 3, right? It printed 2 and 3, and so on. So this is something which you are going to see when you are going to learn Python properly. Okay, so this is what we call as list. Okay, this is what we call as list, right? So you can explore more about it. Okay, you can explore more about it, you can play around it, you search more operations. Okay, you can just search more operations on it, right? So this is what a list. Okay, this is what we call list. Okay, so I'm just gonna write here list, list, list. Okay, then guys, we're gonna talk about tuples. So tuples, tuples. Okay, so one thing which I would like to mention is, okay, suppose here only, okay, here only, this is a list, right? This is a list. Okay, this is a list, right? So suppose if I try to add a string, suppose if I try to add a string, all of them are integers. Suppose I'm trying to add a string to my list. Let's try check this. So you can see that it would easily add it. Okay, suppose I add a boolean. Okay, suppose I add a boolean. Okay, will it add? Yes, you can see add. So you can add any type of data to your list. Okay, it would accept it. Okay, so this is very important. In languages like C++, we cannot add different data types. If the list was created for, if the array was created for numbers, you can only add numbers. If the array was created for string, you can only add string. Okay, and so on. But in Python, we have lists which can store any type of data in a single list. Okay, so this is very important. You must keep this in mind, right? Now guys, let's continue. What if we don't write I plus 1 in while, write else with for? What happens? Without using append, add elements to the list. Okay, I am not able to understand exactly what you are trying to say with the last one. But yeah, append is a method to actually add things to the list. Okay, so this is a very popular method. Okay, you can use this one. There might be other methods also, but yeah, this is the official method which everyone uses, append and remove method. Okay, all right, now let's continue with tuples. With tuples, very important. Okay, so what are tuples? Tuples are actually immutable sequences. Okay, if I give you an example, so if I write colors, okay, colors. First of all, if you want to define a tuple, you have to define it with these type of brackets. Okay, if you wanted to define a list, you have to define it with these type of brackets. Okay, suppose if I say color as, actually again, I define it as num. Okay, that would be better. So if I define 1, 2 and 3, okay, 1, 2 and 3, so this was a list, this is a tuple, right? Now suppose I actually, by immutable I actually mean is you cannot change it. Okay, you cannot change it. Okay, so if I talk more about it, if I talk more about it, it's like elements cannot be modified. Okay, elements inside this cannot be modified. It's like the elements of the tuple cannot be modified once the tuple is created. If you wanna like do something, you're gonna add something, you cannot do it. Okay, tuples maintain an order of elements and allow duplicates. So you can have multiple duplicate elements. If I again mention one, then this is allowed. Let me just try to print this for you. So I'm sorry, print and num. Okay, let's try to print this. So you can see that yeah, it's printing me this 1 2 3. It means you can have duplicate elements, but it's gonna give me only unique elements. Okay, only unique elements. Okay, suppose if I store this in some other order, 2 3 1 1, something like this. Okay, in some unorganized order, so you can see it's still, it's going to organize it. Okay, so you can see it's going to organize it. So this is what tuple is. You cannot modify it later. That's the thing. Okay, so suppose if I print number num 0, that means I want something which is at 0th index. Okay, let's check, will it do it? So guys, I did one mistake actually. you would actually use these ones, okay, these brackets, okay, these brackets. I'm sorry. Okay, so yeah, these are what tuples are. I got confused with dictionary. Okay, these are what tuples, okay, these are the tuples. So you can see that I am again going to show you again. Okay, suppose this is a tuple of elements. Okay, let's run this. So you can see that it gave me 2 3 1 1. Okay, 2 3 1 1. Suppose if I here you can check one thing. The order is not maintained. Okay, the order is exactly what you provide. It won't sort things. Okay, it won't sort things. Automatically, whatever order you provide, it's going to be taking that order. Okay, so suppose if I print num0. Okay, suppose if I print num0. Now if I run this, so you can see it's giving me 2. If I print num1, it's giving me what? It would give me 3. If I talk about num2, okay, num2, that means second index, it would give me 1. Num3, it would give me 1, right? Suppose now if I say that num 0, okay, I want to change it to 10. Can I do it? Can I do it? Okay, so now if I print the whole num, and now if I run this, so you can see that you cannot modify. You cannot modify. So in tuples case, you cannot modify, and in this case you can do it, but in this case you cannot modify. Okay, you cannot modify. So you can see that tuples are something just like lists. They are something, okay, they are a list of elements, but you cannot modify the elements, right? So this is what a tuple is. You can just search more about it. Rest, this operation can be also performed in tuples. This is valid. And what else is valid? Nothing else is valid. You cannot modify the tuple once you created it. Okay, that's it. Now guys, let's continue with the third thing, third type of list of elements, which we call as dictionary. Okay, which we call dictionary. So dictionaries are like key value pairs. Okay, so key value pairs is like name Harshal Jain, age is 25, gender is male, and so on. Okay, so I'm just gonna say that we have a student. Okay, we have a student. I'm gonna say that the name of the student is what? Name of the student is what? Harshal Jain. Okay, and age of the student is suppose 25. Okay, and one thing which I would like to mention is always mention double inverted commas for keys. Okay, and for values, according to the values you can give it. So age, and what else can you say is gender. Okay, so gender, and I'm gonna say that its value would be male. Okay, something like this. Okay, so yeah, you can see that I've created an object, and you would see this object in JavaScript also, the similar object. So you can see this is an object, and we actually call it dictionary in Python. Okay, so this is what we call dictionary. Okay, so this is a tuple with these brackets, with circular brackets. With these brackets, we actually call them list. Again, this is a dictionary which contains key value pairs. So if I am calling name, I would get Harshal Jain. If I'm calling age, I'm getting 25. If I'm calling gender, I'm getting male. Let's check. So let's print something. So print student, and here suppose I want to print age. Okay, if I want to print age, let's try to run this. Okay, so you can see that I got 25. If I am trying to print name, so I would get what? I would get Harshal Jain, and so on. Okay, so this is what a dictionary is. Okay, so dictionaries are very important. You're going to use this a lot in Python. Okay, so dictionary is like you are able to search things. Okay, key value pairs, right? Then we have sets. Okay, so sets, we again have sets in this. Okay, so we had tuples, we had dictionaries. Similarly, we have sets. So sets are also disclosed in these inverted commas. Okay, in these brackets. Okay, so I'll just copy this and paste it, and sets. Okay, and I'm gonna say that colors. Okay, and let's pick a few set of colors. So red, green, and I'll pick again green, blue. Okay, so you can see that I am making a set, but I'm repeating elements. Okay, so let's see what happens. So in set, what actually happens, even if you have repeating elements, it would only contain unique elements in sorted fashion. So now if I print colors, okay, let's print colors. Let's check. So you can see blue, green, red, it sorted them and also remove the duplicates. This is what set is. This is what set is, right? So you can just read more about this. Now guys, we talked about some basic things, basic data structures which you use a lot in Python. Okay, is curly bracket only for tuple? Yeah, actually I did a mistake there. The tuples actually contain these brackets, okay, and curly brackets are for dictionaries and sets. Okay, I got confused, sorry. Okay, let's continue. Now guys, we're going to talk about functions. Okay, so functions, so the sixth is function, 6.py. All right, now I am going to say that in functions what we actually do. Suppose I want to call something multiple times. Okay, I don't want to write that code again and again in a few places. Okay, for example, I have this for loop. Yeah, I have this for loop. Okay, and you can just copy that from here. Suppose this is my for loop. Okay, suppose this is my for loop, right, this is my for loop. You can see that this is some piece of code. Suppose I have another for loop. Okay, suppose I have another for loop. Suppose I have another for loop. So you can see that I have to write multiple for loops. I have to call multiple for loops. So what I can do, I can call functions multiple times. I can create a simple function out of it. I can store this whole into a variable, which is my function, and I can call that function again and again and again. Function is nothing, just a variable which stores your part of code, some piece of code. Okay, so for that, what you can do is you can just define a function by writing def. Okay, you just need to write def, and suppose you write random print xyz. I'm just giving it random name. Okay, giving this function random name. Okay, random name. So this would be the function name. Okay, and this is how you define. Okay, this is my function. So for that, you define def. You write def to actually tell the Python program that this random print xyz is a function. Okay, then you write your function. So what you can actually do is you can actually return anything. You can print anything. Suppose I wanna I'll just copy this. Okay, I'll just copy this whole. Okay, and I would remove everything, and I would simply write this. Okay, I would simply write this. Now here one more thing, I need to properly maintain things. Okay, I'll just give a tab, and again a tab, and this is it. Okay, so just keep the indentation proper so that it identifies the spaces, else it would just mess up the code. Okay, it won't run the code properly. So you can see that I am defining this function which simply gives me this. Okay, which simply gives me this. Okay, let's make it simple, which simply prints hello 10 times. Okay, simply prints hello 10 times. To make it better, what we can do is we can take the name. Okay, and suppose let's give it a range of 5, smaller range, and I want to print the name 5 times. Okay, so it would print the name 5 times. It would take name from the function, it would print the name 5 times. Okay, now let's call this function. How can I call this function? So for calling this function, I can just simply say print. Okay, I can just simply say print, or I can directly call it because we are already printing this. Okay, we are already printing this, so we are directly going to call this random print xyz, and let's give it name as Harshal. Okay, so let's run this. So you can, okay, I'm sorry, I have to run this one. So you can see hello Harshal. So if I just copy this and paste it, and this time I'm saying that hello Viraj. Okay, so let's run this. So you can see hello Viraj. Okay, and so on. So you can do this multiple times. This is how you can just use a function. Okay, so you can just define your piece of code in function, and then with different values, different parameters. This is what we call a parameter. Okay, so if I give as surname also, if I give it a surname, okay, so Curname, okay, surname. So you can see this is the second parameter. Okay, so I'm gonna print my surname. So let's say, let's run this. So again, you can see Harshal Jain Virajan, Harshal Jain Virajan, and like that. Okay, so you can see that it's running like that. Fine. So it's pretty easy. You can just use this. You can just learn more about functions, and there are some different functions available, right? Now one more thing, guys. We have inbuilt functions. Okay, we have inbuilt functions. So right now you can see that we learned about this num. Okay, which is a list. Okay, so you can see it has 3 elements. Okay, and suppose assuming that it only has these 3 elements, now you can see it would print what? It would print what? It would simply print 3. Okay, it would print 1 2 3, right? Let's run this. You can see 1 2 3. I want to get the length. Okay, so I'm just gonna say that dot, I am going to check this. Okay, okay, okay. actually, uh, yes, now it would take. Okay. So now if I write len and inside that if I pass num, so it would give me length of number. Okay, so I actually use JavaScript a lot, so I got confused with the syntax. But yeah, you can see that if I write len and inside that I provide num. Okay, so it would do what? It would do what? It would simply give me length, that is 3. Okay, so let's run this. So len is what? Len is basically an inbuilt function. That's what I wanted to tell you. Okay, and apart from this, we have range. Okay, we have range of this, and range, if I write it as range. Okay, if I write range, if I run this, actually, yeah, you have different method to use the range. So range would actually give you the range. Okay, so if I talk about, if I talk about range example, you need to mention the start, stop, and so on. So for example, if I say, if I talk about this range, uh, it would run properly in for loop. So let me just go back to the for loop. It won't run like this. So let me just go to the for loop. Okay, so here you can see that range. Yes, yes, yes. That's what I wanted to tell you. Here you can see that this range is basically an inbuilt function, right? So if I just call this back again, okay, if I just call this back again, just a minute, guys. Okay, so now I am back. Right. So now guys, here you can see that we have the range function. Okay. So here I was telling you about about len, right? Here I told you about len. Similarly, we have the range function, which is the inbuilt function. You can see that here we have the range function, okay, which is the inbuilt function, right? So what it did was it actually started my range from 0 to like that, start and stop. Automatically it started my range from like that. Okay, so if I talk about range 5, it simply says 0 to 4. Okay, it would go for 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so if I write 5, range 5, it would start from 0 to 4. Okay, so range function is used like that. This is also an inbuilt function, right? So these are some inbuilt function, len function, range function, which you use a lot. So I told you about those. Okay, now guys, let's continue with the next thing which we are going to talk, which is file operation. So I hope you got the idea what are functions basically. Okay, now we are going to talk about file operation. So 7.py, let's finish this fast. Now I'm gonna say that suppose I have a file named as example.txt. Okay, right now I don't have a file. For example, let me just simply write with open. Okay, inside this what you do is you write the file name. Okay, so I'm just gonna write here example.txt. So assuming that I am having an txt file. Okay, I want to perform what? I want to write something here. Okay, I want to write something, I want to add something to the file. So I would simply say w write. Okay, write simply would erase all the old data and would add the new data. Okay, so write operation is like that. Append operation is like keep the old data and add the new data. Okay, write operation would be like erase everything and then add the new data. Okay, so I'll just write here as file. Okay, I'll just call it file. Okay, I'll just call it file. Then I would simply write file dot write, file dot write. I'm gonna say hey there. Okay, hey there. right? That's it. So let's run this. Okay, let's run this. So if I run this, so you can see that example.txt has been created, and then you can see here there is here. Okay, so this is a write operation. Okay, so you can just create a file automatically with the help of Python. Okay, similarly, suppose you want to do something else. If I just copy this and if I paste it here, and suppose I want to read the file. Okay, so I'm just gonna say R. Okay, and I want to read example.txt. Okay, I want to read example.txt. So what I would do is I would read the content. So I would say that content variable equals file dot read. Okay, so this would give me all the content of the file, and let me just print it. So content. Okay, so it would give me what? It would give me hey there, whatever is written inside this file. So if I just save this, you can see I got hey there. And if I write something else, I am Harshal Jain. Okay, so I have written this content inside my file. Now, if I come back here, if I run this, so you can see it's giving me, hey there, I am Harshal Jain. Okay, so whatever the content in is, it would give me that content, right? So that's how you perform the read and write operations. We have append operations also. So for example, if I write it like this, okay, instead of this, if I write this, okay, let me just check. So you can see that now hey there is added after this. Okay, so write operation would erase everything. Okay, so if write operation was there, write operation was there, you would see that everything is removed. But if I talk about append operation, okay, if I talk about the append operation, it would append. Okay, it would append. That means old data would here, new data would also be there. And read operation would just read everything. Okay, so these are the operations which we have: read, write, append operations, right? That's it. Now guys, we're going to talk about error handling. Okay, so error handling is also very important. Let me just talk about it. Error handling, what you actually have is, suppose try. Okay, suppose I simply said number equals input, enter your age. Okay, suppose this is an input. Okay, suppose this is an input, right? Now I'm gonna print. Now I'm gonna print what? Num into 10. Suppose num into 10, right? And let me just run this for now. Okay, let me just run this for now. What would happen? You can see it's asking for my age, so I'll just say 12. So you can see it's printing 12 this much. But I don't want this. I want to take input as an integer. Okay, suppose instead of this, suppose if I gave input as hey, okay, hey, so you can see that it's giving me hey 10 times. Okay, let me just write it like this. Okay, so now if I just say hey, so you can see it's giving hey 10 times. I don't want this. I want to first of all make sure num is always an integer. Okay, so how can I do this? I'll just say what? I'll just say control X integer. Inside this, I provide this brackets like this. So it would convert the data type of number as integer. Okay, so let's try this again. So now if I write my age is 12, so you can see 120. Instead of 12, 12, 12, 12, I'm getting 120. But suppose now if I write hey, can see that I'm getting an error. So I don't want to stop my program. I don't want to stop my program. Okay, I don't want to return this error. Okay, I want to return something else. So how can I do this? How can I do this? So I'll just say that add this to try catch. Okay, add this to try catch. How can I do this? So I'll just cut this. I'll just say that try. Okay, try. And inside this, I'll just provide these two. Okay, and I'll just give this a space. Okay, I'm just saying try this. Try this. If you get an error, okay, if you get an error, so pass it in except. So I'm just gonna say if there is a value error. Okay, if there's, these are different types of errors. You can see that if this is a value error, you can see value error. Okay, you will get an value error. What you can do is you can just say print invalid input. Okay, invalid input. Okay, let's try this. So now if I say my age, so if I write hey, can see it's giving me invalid input. If I write 12, it's giving me 120. Okay, so you can see that now it would handle the error properly. Okay, so this is what error handling is, right? So try and accept, you can use it a lot so that it doesn't abruptly stop your program. It just gives you a proper error in the printed format, or what to do if this doesn't work, what to do. Okay, you can just mention that here. Okay, so this is the benefit, right? Now guys, we have oops concepts, okay, classes, objects, and inheritance. But I think we have taken a lot of time, so I'm just going to cover up the oops concept in short. Okay, oops concept in short. So let me just open something for you all. All right. Guys, before continuing, please check out this feedback form in the description available. You can just fill this form and then you can write your honest review there. Okay, now let's continue. Now guys, we have this. Okay, we have this. We're going to talk about oops. Okay, so for oops, I'm going to say, let's come here and oops. Okay, oops. So you can see that till now, we have covered this much. Okay, so we have covered with the introduction, setting up, Python basics, control flow, data structures, functions, file handling, and error and exceptional handling. Then we are going to talk about object oriented programming. Okay, object oriented programming, very important. So if I talk about oops in Python, okay, if you want to read more about this very properly, so you can just read about this in this GFG article. You can see that we have Python oops concept. What is object oriented programming? It's a paradigm that uses objects and classes in Python programming. It's a big concept, so we cannot cover this right now, okay, because it's going to take a lot of time. Okay, but yeah, this is something which you learn in Python and in other languages also. Some other languages also support this, like Java. Okay, then we have inside this, basically we have classes, objects, polymorphism, encapsulation, inheritance, and data abstraction. So these are all the concepts which you learn. So please check out this one. You can just check out on separate tutorials. It's going to take an hour or two to learn this properly. So yeah, I just gave you the reference. From here you can learn concept of oops. Okay, oops, right? So if I wanted to define oops in short, what's exactly oops in short? I would say that we are humans. Okay, we are humans. Generally every human has two eyes, uh, two hands, two legs. Okay, generally all the humans have this. Okay, there might be some exceptions, but generally all the humans have this. Ideal case, you can assume. Okay, so the face can be like, I look like this. Okay, someone else would look different. They would look different, but some common things are common. Okay, so basically we are all of same class, which is human class. I am one object, you are another object. That person is another object. So objects can be different. My age can be different, my height can be different, but I am of human class. Okay, so objects, multiple objects are of one class. Okay, multiple objects would become one class. Okay, so if I wanted to give an example here, let me just give an example. So right now, if I say this is a class, okay, we are going to assume that human is a class. Okay, so who is a human? I am a human. Okay, I am a human. So I would just say that Harshal is a human who is an object. Okay, similarly, another human. So I'll just say Viraj is another human, which is again an object. Okay, so you can see a class would be like a blueprint of an object. Harshal is having two eyes, two hands, two legs. Viraj is also having two eyes, two hands, and two legs. Okay, so both of them are actually belonging to same class. Similarly, if I talk about animals, animals are of, like, if I talk about plants, plants are of a different class. Okay, if I talk about lily plant, or if I talk about any other plant, all of them are having same properties, like they have leaves, they have branches, they have roots. Okay, so a plant is a class. Different type of plants are objects. Okay, so this is the difference between classes and objects. You can just learn more about this in oops concepts in Python. Okay, so it's a big concept, that's why I'm not teaching it right now, else it would be a rush. Okay, so just read about this, or you can just search YouTube tutorials that oops in Python. You would get a very brief video on it, right? So this is what oops is. Now I am going to continue with the remaining ones. So yeah, we just discussed about oops. Then we have Python libraries. Okay, so we have different Python libraries. Like we have math Python library. Okay, you can just search about this library. Okay, you can just go to Python docs, and you can see that with the help of this library you can actually find the combinations. Okay, you can just ways to choose k items from n items. Okay, so combinations. Then you can talk about factorial, you can learn about factorials, you can use factorials here. Then you can use GCD, then you can use sqrt, LCM, permutation, and then floor. Then you can just read more about this. Okay, you can just see that a lot of actually functionalities are provided here. Suppose you want to find something, you find a factorial of number, so you can actually use this package, you can use this library. If I go to factorial, you can see that math factorial, you just need to write it like this, math dot factorial of n. Okay, so it would give you that. Okay, it would give you that. So you can just search about this math library, you can use it a lot for all the mathematical functions, very important. Okay, so this is it. Now what else you have after this is some more general libraries, like we have pandas in Python. Okay, so pandas in Python. So we will go to the official website of pandas, so you can see that what is basically pandas and how we actually use it. So a lot of things are actually mentioned in the documentation. You can just click on getting started, and you can just see that some more things are mentioned here. So pandas is also a package which we use a lot in machine learning fields. So pandas, scikit-learn, numpy, and so on. Okay, so you can just search about this. Similarly, numpy in Python. Okay, numpy in Python. So you can see that this is also a manual. So it's open source, value used in science and engineering, multi-dimensional data structures, array data structures such as n-dimensional array. So you can use numpy for these type of concepts where you need to create multi-dimensional arrays, okay, matrix, and so on. Okay, so for that numpy is used. Then we have matplotlib, very important, matplotlib in Python. So you can again go to this website. So it's for charts. You can see this is the chart, so different types of charts you can make this with the help of matplotlib. Okay, so we have more better alternatives also, you can just search about it. Okay, so now these are some libraries which you can just check out, you can just read more about this, and obviously these are some vast concepts. You need to just get in depth of that properly, each library properly. Okay, so these are not just containing 2-3 lines of code and you would understand everything. No, you need proper videos on that, so you can just watch sessions on that, you have YouTube videos on that, you can just search about that. Okay, but yeah, I told you some basic libraries which we generally use. Now guys, if I talk about some basic projects, what projects you can make. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about some projects which you can make, which is, let me just mention here some projects. Okay, so this is the project which I made as a beginner. So what projects you can make? So you can just make a calculator. Okay, calculator. Okay, you can make a to-do list. Okay, you can make simple chatbot. Okay, you can make number guessing game. Okay, and so on. So these are some beginner friendly projects, and suppose right now I want to make a calculator. Okay, so let's make a project, very a simple project. Okay, so you can make other projects also, but right now let's talk about calculator. So what is a calculator? Very simple calculator, plus minus into division, that type of calculator. Let's make that. Okay, so for that I'm gonna create a very simple file here. Okay, I'll just create a file here, and in this file I'm gonna make a project. Okay, so very simple project. Let's start with this. If you have any queries, you can ask me in the yes. So let's start with this. If you have any queries, you can ask me in the live chat. Okay, so first of all, we are making a calculator. So what kind of calculator? I want a calculator which performs add, subtract, multiply, division, right? So let's do it. So I'm just gonna say that diff. Okay, I'll define a function. Okay, and I'll define an add function. So I'll give it two values, x and y. This must return what? So we have a return statement. Return statement is like, when I call this function gives me what? It does not print anything, but it gives me something. What it gives? It gives x plus y, right? It gives x plus y. Okay, that's what return statement is for in the functions. Then similarly guys, we have subtraction. So SUPTRACT, and I want to subtract x from y from x actually. Okay, and then we have division. So let's write multiply first, multiply. Okay, and we want to multiply x and y. Fine. Now let's talk about division. Okay, so if I talk about division, okay, and I'm just gonna say that if y equals 0, then I wanna return what? ERROR, divide division by 0. Okay, error division by 0. This would be the return statement if y became 0. You cannot divide something by 0, right? Else return x by y. Okay, so if this doesn't run, if y is not 0, then this would run. Okay, everything is fine. Okay, so this is divide. Now let's try this. So I'm gonna simply say I wanna ask the user. So I'm gonna say that print, and I'm gonna ask the user select operation. Okay, select operation. Perfect. And I'll just write that I wanna say that first operation would be add. So if someone presses 1, 2, 3 and 4, okay, so 1 is for add, and then 2 and 3 and 4, okay, subtract. Okay, so SUBTRACT, subtract, multiply, 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 okay, and divide. Okay, so I've defined my functions. Now first of all, whenever I run my code, it would print these things. Okay, then it would ask for an input. Okay, so either I would press 1, either I would press 2, 3 or 4. Okay, so I'll just say that choice, okay, equals input. Inside that, I'm just going to ask enter choice 1/2/3/4. Okay, I want to ask for this. Okay, I'll ask for either 1, either 2, either 3 or either 4. Okay, if any of these is added, accordingly I would select my operation. Okay, now I would ask for my first number. So number equals float. Okay, float input, and I would say enter number 1. Okay, similarly I would ask for enter number 2. So I would ask for number 2. Okay, so I have asked for the first number and second number. Okay, now I'm gonna say that if, let's print the choice first. So print choice, okay, choice num1 num2. Okay, let's print this. Okay, so now if I just run this code, you can see it's asking me for either press 1, 2 or 3 or 4. So if I press 1 and if I press number as 3 and 4, you can see that I got 1, and then first number is 3, second number is 4. Okay, so now if I press 1, that means I want addition. Okay, so what I would do is if choice, okay, if choice equals 1, right, equals 1, then I want what? I want print, I would say sum is, and I'll just print what? Add function. Okay, whatever add function returns. So num1 comma num2. Okay, num1 and num2. So it would return me what? It would return me a plus b or x plus y, whatever, num1 plus num2. It would return me num1 plus num2. And in the else case, I'm gonna say print invalid. Okay, perfect, right? So let's try this again. So now again, if I just run this, so it would ask me for what I want. I want 1. Okay, addition. Now I would add number 1 as 3 and 4, so it would return me 7. Now instead of 1, I've entered 2. Now if I write 3 and 4, it would give me invalid input because I haven't decided for 2, 3 and 4. So now I'll just write for 2, 3 and 4. Okay, so I'll just copy this and paste 2, 3 and 4. Okay, now I'll just say if choice is 2, if choice is 3, if choice is 4. Okay, and I'll just say that subtract, then I'll just say that multiply, then I'll just say that divide or division, whatever it is. Okay, right, divide. Okay, so it would divide. Now sum is this, subtract is this, multiply is this, divide is this. Okay, so now let's check again. So first of all, I have defined my functions. Okay, I've defined my functions. Then it would simply ask for 1, 2 and 3 and 4. Now I enter, suppose 2, that means I want subtraction. Now I enter my number, that is 3 and 4. Okay, now I enter 3 and 4. So what I want is, I have entered 2, that means it would be this case. Okay, it would be this case. And in this case, we are simply giving this result. Okay, we are simply giving this result. Actually, you must write here elif. Okay, elif, right? That's it. Now let's run this. Okay, so now you can see it's asking. So I have entered 3, multiply, right? So I want to multiply 3 and 4. So it's giving me 12, right? So this is a very simple calculator based program which I built for you guys, right? All right. Now guys, this is it. So apart from this calculator project, what else you can do is, you can make another projects like to-do list application and so on. Let me just show you what else you can make. So these are the other projects which I have mentioned. You can make a to-do list project, you can make a simple chatbot, you can make a number guessing game, right? So these are some extra projects which you can make. Right now I made a very basic project for you all. Now guys, I'm just going to upload the source code, so you can just check out my source code which I have written today. Okay, so let me just upload it. Okay guys, so I have now uploaded the source code. Okay, now I have uploaded the source code in my GitHub repository. What you can do is, you can just check out the source code. For that, what you need to do is, you can just go to my GitHub profile, github.com/viraj014. Okay, and in the repositories, what you can do is, you can just search for GFG Python. Okay, you can just search the name here, or you can find this repository. Okay, you can mark this as a star. So if you find this repository, inside this you can see that all the Python files are available here, right? All the Python files are available here. All right. So now I think we have more doubts in the live chat. Write that entire 50 lines of code in 20 lines. Okay, you are talking about this one, right? This calculator program. Yeah, it's pretty easy. Let's try to do this. Okay, if I am able to do this, that would be great. Okay, first of all, like I think functions are fine. Okay, functions are fine. We shouldn't do anything else here. But yeah, I would do it for you. Okay, first thing I would do it is make it shorter like this. Okay, this is allowed. Okay, this is totally valid. Okay, so yeah, this is totally valid. Okay, and now I am asking for print statement. So instead of this, I would simply say that if you don't want this, okay, if you don't want to write print again and again, so one option is, you just write \n. Okay, you just write \n. Okay, so this would simply say, after this, next line would be added. Okay, and so on. Okay, so let me just copy this and paste it here, and let me just remove this, again paste it here. Let me just remove this, and again paste it here, and let me just remove this. Okay, so now what would happen in single print statement, I have written all these. Okay, so you can see that my lines are basically reduced. Okay, right? So you can say that I have reduced a few set of lines. Now suppose you want to reduce something more. Okay, so input is fine. I think input must be taken. Apart from that, I would decide my operations. Okay, so I'll use dictionary. Okay, I'll use dictionary in this. So I'll just say that operations equals, I'll just say, suppose if someone presses 1, I'm talking about add operations. Okay, I'm talking about add operations. So this is a very good jugaad which I'm using. So if I talk about 2, I'm talking about subtract operation. Okay, and if I talk about 3, then I am talking about multiply, multiply. Okay, then if I am talking about 4, okay, I'm talking about divide. Okay, divide. Fine. So I have mentioned my 4 operations here in this single. Okay, now instead of writing this much, okay, I would just say that choice if choice is in operations. Okay, if choice is in operations, that means choice can be either 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. If it's between 1, 2 or 3 or 4, then this is valid, else it would be invalid. Okay, now if choice is an operation, I want to call that function accordingly. So how can I do that? Okay, how can I do that? So I'm gonna say that, okay, I'll just do it like this. Result is, and guys, here what I can do is I can just say that operations, and inside that I'm gonna provide my choice and close it like this. Okay, and close it like this. So it would just say that it would look for that specific value of that key. So choice would be key, like we are talking about dictionary. So choice would be key, and its value is add. Similarly, it would be key and its value is subtract. Okay, so suppose now if I give 2 as choice, okay, so I'm talking about what? I'm talking about subtract. Okay, so it would call subtract num1 and num2. Let's try this now. Okay, let's try this. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll just run it like this. Okay, so now if I entered 2, okay, now if I entered 3 and 4, so you can see it gave me -1. Okay, so you can see that, yeah, 21 lines. Let's make it 20. Okay, as you said, write it in 20 lines, so I made it lesser than 20 lines. Okay, fine. I think this is totally valid, which I did right now. Okay, so yeah, I made it shorter. You can make it more shorter. There might be other ways also. You can make a single function, okay, which does multiple tasks, and so on. Right, so guys, this is it. I hope you enjoyed this session. We talked about everything. Let me just upload this. Let me just upload this to my GitHub account in the source code repository. Okay, so yes, now the source code has been uploaded in my GitHub account. You can just check out that. What you need to do is you can just go to this GitHub account, github.com/VIRAJJ014. You can follow me here. You can check out my socials. In the repositories, you would find GFG Python. You can just search the name here. You can just search the name here, and this is it. All the source code is available here, right? So just check out this one. Complete things are available here. And apart from that, what we didn't discuss is we didn't discuss about some extra libraries. Okay, we did not discuss about some extra libraries, okay, properly. Like we didn't write the exact code, but you can just search on your own: math library, panda library, matplotlib library, and so on. Then we have object oriented programming. So we also didn't discuss about this object oriented programming very in depth, but yeah, you can just search about this on YouTube. We have a very dedicated tutorial. Any tutorial would work. Okay, you can just find a video on object oriented programming in Python, and then you can just check that out on more. Okay, but we can make it in 5 to 10 lines. Yeah, I think we can make it more shorter. There are other ways also, and more easier ways also. We don't need to even define the functions, right? We can just write a simple if else statement and it would be done, right? So you can do it with that also, right? Okay guys, so I hope you enjoyed this session. We covered this much, and we also covered Q&A throughout the session. But still, if you have any questions or doubts, you can mention in the live chat. I'll wait for a minute, then I'll end this session. Okay, if you have any queries or if you have any suggestions for future, definitely mention that. And also guys, this is a feedback form which you would see in the description, so feel free to just fill this feedback form. Okay, this is a feedback form provided by Geeks for Geeks. You can just check out the description. In this feedback form, you can mention your details, and also you can just mention the rating, how you liked it. You can just mention whatever you like. There is no pressure. Okay, either poor or excellent. Okay, but अच्छा ही करना है यार, excellent कर दो, कोई दिक्कत थोड़ी है. Okay, so yeah, it's your choice definitely. Then you can also mention, if you like this session, you can mention what is the key thing which you liked. Okay, teaching style or topic or value addition or interaction with you all guys. And then after that we have topics. So which topics which you want to be covered in future, so you can just mention the topics which you like. Okay, and then was this duration adequate? Like we almost covered around 2 hours. Okay, it took around 2 hours, so I think it was adequate, and we covered a lot of things in Python. Okay, so definitely you can mention that. If you want shorter sessions or longer sessions, you can just mention that. Okay, now one more thing is, you would recommend it to your friends or not, so you can just check yes or no. Okay, so please definitely share it with your friends, and also subscribe and also like this video, right? It keeps me and us motivated. All right, guys, so just check out this form. It would be available in the description. So I hope you enjoyed this session. Very nice. Thank you, brother. Dominus. Thanks, Dominus. I'll see you in the next one. If you want me to continue with Python series, please comment below. We'll take more sessions in depth on specifically on libraries. Like I talked about math library, matplotlib, pandas, and so on. So I want those dedicated sessions. So if you want those dedicated sessions, so I would be taking those sessions on this channel, right? So please comment below after I end this video. So that's it for today, guys. I will see you in the next one. Till then, have a good day. Bye bye.